Hey guys, and welcome back to the Demon Time channel. This is Demon Time Chris here, and today I'm going to be covering the horror thriller 2008 film The Clovehitch Killer, loosely based on the BTK killings. And for those of you who are unaware about BTK and his upbringings and all that, I did cover him in a previous video, and I'll put a link for that video at the end of this video if you guys are interested. Directed by Duncan Skiles and written by Christopher Ford, it covers the story of Tyler Burnside, played by Charlie Plummer, a 16-year-old boy who uncovers the resurgence of this mysterious serial killer named the Clovehitch Killer. And it pretty much tackles religion, family, deception, secrets, and the unraveling of his reality. It's a really good movie. It's only an hour and 50 minutes. A slow burn. So for those of you who are into a slow burn, kind of like intense movie, this movie has it. It really does grab you. It also is star-studded. It has Dylan McDermott. For those of you who don't know who he is, you can probably remember him from the first season of American Horror Story. Samantha Mathis and Madison Beatty. Like I stated, this movie is very dark, very slow. It's full of tension, a lot of twists and turns. And on this video, I am going to be covering everything, so I am going to be spoiling the movie. So please watch this movie first before you even watch this video. But for those of you who don't care, thank you again for watching. But also like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And yeah, let's continue with the video. All right, so the movie starts with a voiceover of Tyler Burnside talking about the first murders and how it impacted the small town of Kentucky. He states that the Clovehitch Killer got his name because of the style of knots that he used during the murders. It cuts away to a man who is later to be confirmed to be Don Burnside, Tyler's dad, played by Dylan McDermott, in a Boy Scout uniform, talking about being a leader during a flag bearing presentation. Now with Don is kind of like Ned Flanders in real life. Like he is Ned Flanders in a live action film. He's very corny, very goofy in a way, always has jokes, very vanilla too. So just imagine Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. That's pretty much Don. Once the meeting is over, Don has a brief conversation with Tyler about being unable to send him to leadership camp that his recruiter recommended because of his Uncle Rudy, who's an invalid. His insurance is getting higher and the work is slow. So Tyler is right now currently just trying to become sort of like a leader in the Boy Scouts, pretty much trying to become like his dad, a leader and a prominent member of his community. And he's trying to take those steps little by little, but because of hardships, he won't be able to go to the leadership camp like he wanted to. Later that night, Tyler decides to sneak out and takes his dad's truck that he uses for his landscaping business to pick up a girl from church whose name is Amy, who he likes and wants to make out in an empty parking lot. They start chit-chatting, and as she reaches over to unlatch her seatbelt to start the makeout session, she finds a photo of a woman with a ball gag in her mouth. She questions him, wanting to know if it's his or not. Tyler kind of rebuttals and said it's not his, but she insists that she would rather go home than spend more time with him. The next morning, Cindy Burnside, the mother, played by Samantha Mathis, is checking the height of Tyler's little sister Susie, saying that she has grown a lot. But Don is making jokes on the side, saying that the pancake batter that he uses has hormones in it, making her grow so fast. Again, like Ned Flanders, has all these little jokes and all these little tidbits, making him a little bit corny, but kind of signifying that he's a family man. Cindy is pretty much the family's rock, pretty much the emotional support of the entire family. And Susie, you don't really see Susie throughout the entirety of the movie. She will appear here and there, but she's not very important in the movie. But it just shows that it's a big family. Once Tyler comes down the stairs, they pray for a little bit, then talk about Rudy's appointment as they eat their hormone-filled pancakes. Now, this family is very religious, like super religious. Now, it doesn't really state what religion they practice. I believe is Mormonism, but I could be wrong. But yeah, they are very religious, very vanilla, very safe, and church is going to play a big factor throughout the scenes of the movie as well. Tyler and the family head to church, but Tyler is being quietly judged by Amy as she sings in the church. Once the service is over, Tyler and his friend Billy talk about the new girl Cassie, played by Madison Beatty, and how she is fascinated by the Clovehitch killings, and claiming that she is sick and somewhat promiscuous, alleging that she has sexual relations with football players and her mom ran away to become a stripper. Now, Billy is, how can I paint Billy? Billy is pretty much one of those people that makes the norm, I won't say normal, but makes the rest of everybody not attend religious services. He kind of sees the world in a view of, if you're not doing the same things that I'm doing or not having the same beliefs that I have, you're a sinner. That's his whole main view. He is not flexible. He is not pliable. He pretty much looks down upon people based on what they do or what they did in the past. He does not forgive anybody, and he becomes an annoyance. He's what Don is with Ned Flanders, Billy is with Rod and Todd, but amped up to an 11. Like, he is very annoying and you just want to choke him out, because he will say out of pocket statements with no concrete evidence. And yeah, that's pretty much Billy in a nutshell. He is just an annoyance. Once home, talking and couponing with his mother about his father's shed and his hobbies, he starts getting bombarded by text messages by Amy, claiming that he's a pervert for the photos. Cutting back to the memorial service about the murder victims, Billy calls Tyler a perv, and Amy stating that she told someone in secret, believing it won't get out. These people in this small Kentucky town, they're very innocent. Like, they think that everything's through word of mouth, everything is like faith-based, but you can tell that it's human nature. People are gonna spread secrets, people are gonna spread rumors, and Billy's just being a dick. Like, he is just stating that Tyler's a perv with no concrete evidence. He just hears a rumor and he goes along with it. So yeah, Billy's really out of pocket in this scene. Cassie walks by saying that she also knows the secret, while Tyler talks down at her about her fascination about the Clovehitch murders. Moments later, once his parents leave the house, Tyler decides to enter his father's shed and snoop around to see if his father has more photos, because he thinks, well, the only person that uses this truck is his father. So obviously, two and two together, his father has to be the one that owns these photos. There, he finds an uneven floorboard where he pulls it to find a shoebox. At first, it's wood crafting magazines, but as he investigates deeper, he finds out magazines of women in bondage, to then later find a Polaroid photo of a dead woman named Nora, bound with Lucky's favorite written in the bottom. Suddenly, Don arrives asking for help looking for Tyler. He soon realizes that someone was in his shed. Tyler is unable to sleep, decides to find more information on Nora through the family's laptop in the living room. He finds that Nora Delvin was the 8th Clovehitch victim. Remembering the details of the photo, his mother walks in asking what is Tyler doing with the computer, but is suddenly disappointed based on the answer, assuming he was actually navigating inappropriate websites. Here's the thing, right, with the whole laptop scene. Why would you guys keep the laptop? Number one, why is there only one laptop? Number two, why is this just a laptop? Why isn't it not a desktop? But why would you keep a laptop in the middle of the living room? That is, I don't know if it's weird. I think it's super strict, especially for a 16-year-old, because Tyler's just 16. And I don't know, like, boys at that age like to fool around, but I think that it's a little bit too much to keep the laptop in the living room. You know, it's not like he's that type of guy who's, you know, gonna give himself a little round of applause down in his pants because it's in the living room. He's not gonna do anything about it. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, he ain't gonna do nothing in the living room. So give this boy a laptop. Also, give this boy a smartphone. because he's walking around with a fucking flip phone. Everybody else has smartphones. He's the only one with a flip phone. He is legit texting like it's back in like 2004. And I don't know, like, this family's strict, but it's also like outdated. They're outdatedly strict, which is weird. The next morning, Dawn and Tyler have a man-to-man talk about the night over grape soda. Let me repeat that again. They have a man-to-man talk over grape soda. This is where I question what religion they are. This is why I assume it's Mormonism. But grape soda, bro? Like, if I'm gonna have a man-to-man talk over, you know, the birds and the bees with my kid, I'm gonna let him sip a little bit of my beer or something. But grape soda, like, I don't feel like grape soda is like kind of like a manly thing to show my son. I don't know. To each his own, but I don't know. I think it's kind of weird in that way, but sure, why not? But he also states that he knows that he's sneaking out and that he knows that he was looking up certain things on the computer. As he continues to talk, he says that our bodies are God's temple, but fantasies are inevitable, but not to be acted on because it's monkey stuff. Again, Ned Flanderish type tone that he brings to this character. Tyler confronts Billy at the car wash soon after the man-to-man talk, but Billy shuts it down, saying that he's a pervert and a sinner. Again, Billy, not flexible, annoying, curly head, Rod and Todd, bitch type energy. Distraught on how no one's listening to him, he finds Cassie near the church and proceeds to follow her, asking questions about her and about Clovehitch. She starts making fun at him, but later gives him her address to learn more about Clovehitch, but he must bring cookies. Biking up to the address, an old woman opens the door who turns out to be a cop who wrote books about the murders. Cassie calls Tyler a dumbass, assuming that the old lady was her grandmother, like he knew. So here's the thing about Cassie, because Cassie's somewhat kind of like the black sheep of the entire town. Cassie's a good character. Like, I like Cassie, but there's certain things about Cassie that really just like, shut the fuck up, bro. Because she is such an asshole to Tyler for no specific reason. Like, for this instance, if an old lady opens up the door and she lives with you, I'm gonna assume automatically that that's your grandmother. But Cassie doesn't see it that way. Cassie is like, oh, you should know that already. You should know that she wasn't my grandmother. And she always has a response. She always has a smart remark. It's to a point where, like, if I was in Tyler's shoes during those moments, I would have just told her, you know what? Fuck it. I don't even know if my dad is actually Clovehitch or not. Like, fuck you. You're just an asshole. And I'd rather just go on through life being called a perv and not dwell into this, like, unraveling of whether or not my dad may or may not be Clovehitch. Cassie starts presenting case files and photos about the murders, stating Clovehitch doesn't leave any blood or semen in the crime scenes, just rope and rope fibers. Tyler asks if they have Polaroids, but Cassie claims no, he barely leaves any evidence behind. Later that night, playing cards with the family, Tyler insists on tutoring, but all in all, he just wants more information on Clovehitch. Dawn is secretly watching him, knowing that he's lying, but is excited that Tyler has a girlfriend. But for lying, he has to bring Cassie over for dinner to meet her. Cassie at first is reluctant, but to chastise them, she goes. She starts talking about how she's an atheist, but wants to practice Wicca. And although Tyler likes to interrupt here and there, the family seems to be getting along with her. Again, Cassie, a smartass. She's a smartass. Like, even if this family is vanilla and very religious and everything, like for me, for instance, I'm not very religious and my friends are. I'm not going to go to their house and just disrespect them knowing that that's their belief. Cassie don't give a fuck. Cassie's going to say whatever it is, even if it makes you uncomfortable, even in the wrong settings. Like, there's a right time and a wrong time to do things. Pushing for answers, Cassie asks Dawn about his Boy Scout training and his knowledge of knots. Dawn obviously knows a lot about those knots because he's a Boy Scout, but she's actually trying to see if there's somewhat of connection with Clovehitch. Later after dinner and the awkward conversation, Cassie jokingly realizes Tyler's interest in Clovehitch is because of his dad. But later that night, Cassie realizes that his accusations might hold weight. Looking through the shed, trying to find pictures in the hollow floorboard, they find plans of a torture dungeon. Tyler, closing the shed, realizes the boarded up crawl space outside the home. Navigating it, he finds a hidden room with a box full of magazines, drawings, ropes, and a small red chest full of pictures and driver's licenses. One of them being Nora Delvin. So, in this instance, you start seeing little tidbits of Dennis Rader, because Dennis Rader was that type of person. He will hide certain evidence all around his house. And one of those things, one of his little trophies were driver's licenses. He did that with Vicky Wergel. During the time that he was about to be captured, he did send one of the driver's licenses to the Wichita Eagle and to the law enforcement. So you're seeing little aspects of Dennis, as well as with the rope. Now, the Clovehitch, for those of you who don't know, that's a style of rope. That's one rope that Dennis himself used on the Otero family. I didn't state it in the other video, but during the time he sent the first letter to the Otero family, he stated that he used the Clovehitch knot on the entire family to keep them still. The scene cuts and Tyler's playing like he's asleep, and Dawn wakes up Tyler for a father-son camping trip. Ominously leading him with a rifle in hand to a campsite, he asks him about the shed and the crawl space and if he told anyone. Obviously, Tyler is lying. He says no, but Dawn says that all that stuff that he found was actually his Uncle Rudy's. He claims they both share the same interest in bondage, but Rudy was the killer and he tried killing himself by crashing a car because of his remorse and his regret. Now, throughout the movie with Rudy doesn't talk. Rudy does not move. He's always on a wheelchair. He's always being pushed around by the entire family. And as you watch the movie, well, for me, for instance, I asked myself, is Rudy that way because he actually did a failed suicide attempt, or was he that way because he knew information that he wasn't supposed to know and that his brother actually put him in that situation, and he is constantly being technically psychologically tortured knowing this information but unable to say it to anybody. He later makes a statement that he keeps it all for the sake of the family and to evade potential heartache, as well as not, quote unquote, bring that evidence to the police. Tyler doesn't want to hear it and makes an ultimatum for him to either destroy the evidence or turn it into the police. Dawn proceeds to burn it. Cassie finds Tyler and informs him about the blueprint and that it's about his house, but is later interrupted by Billy and proceeds to shame Tyler and Cassie to the point of fighting. After the fight, Tyler receives a note from Cassie. After the fight, the scene starts with Tyler leaving to leadership camp. Dawn and the rest of the family are talking about Tyler's absence, and he insists that Cindy and Susie should go visit Grandma while he stays behind a week or two to catch up with work. After the family left, Dawn starts taking what I call a scroll or a stroll, for those of you who watched the video of Dennis Rader, through the supermarket and bumps into a woman. They start playfully talking and everything. Again, that Ned Flanders swagger. Later, he proceeds to follow her home, watching her from afar, eerily. At home, Don goes up the attic to find a box with a Polaroid camera. He begins to set up rope, dressed in a woman's red nightgown and a mask with a wig. Again, like Dennis Rader with his motel parties, he's starting to do the same thing. He starts hanging himself and taking pictures, but is interrupted by Cassie looking for Tyler. But the encounter is cut short when her phone vibrates, stating her dad is waiting for her. Sorting through the pictures that he took, mixed with the other Polaroids of his victims, Don starts throwing a temper tantrum because he's mad that the evidence that he had was destroyed earlier that week. Don then leaves and drives up to the house of the lady he followed earlier, checking out the backyard and entry points, where he decides that he should go through the basement and ties a clove hitch near a pipe. The scene ends and later shows Don and Rudy at church hearing a sermon about God opening doors while Don is contemplating his decision. So right now the urges are bubbling. Same thing with Dennis. Dennis was that same type of person. He would continue to do things and just wait and wait and wait. He's very patient, just like Dennis, pretty much writing everything, scoping out things, and he has the same tactic like Dennis, where he goes from the back. The only difference is Dennis never broke in through the basement. He actually went through the back door, but he actually goes through the basement, which is even creepier. But now that Ned Flanders swagger is pretty much a facade, and it's a lot creepier because he never turns it off. He's going to continue to use that to gaslight people, thinking that he's this nice, vulnerable, sweet guy. Once the sermon is over, Don is sitting at the edge of his bed listening to voicemails that his wife left him, while a supply of rope and tools surround him. Now with this scene is really creepy because you can show it really shows how prepared and the lengths that he's willing to go to fulfill his fantasies. And then it cuts inside the supermarket lady's house, sleeping on the couch with a TV on about OxyClean. Not knowing that Don broke in from the basement dressed in a mechanic's jumper uniform, a ski mask, and a pair of blue rubber gloves, he pulls out a gun and proceeds to tell the woman that he is just a simple bank robber running from the cops and he needs her keys. Again, the same excuse that Dennis Rader used on the Otero family, that he was a bank robber and he needed water, a car, and food. So yeah, they're taking little tidbits from those cases. He then takes his Polaroid camera and starts taking picture of her horrified face, threatening her that his friends will find her if she tells anyone. He then tells her to tie herself up. As she starts tying herself up, he starts to criticize her because of her ability to tie herself up. So he takes the initiative and do the tying for her. And as she's being tied up, he decides to take out a pantyhose and starts strangling her. Bound on the floor, gasping for air, he finds a chair, places a plastic bag over her head, and she starts yelling as he starts taking pictures of her. Again, taking tidbits from the BTK murders, he did the same thing with the Joey Otero murder, where he just sat down and just watched him lose his life as he slowly loses his air, and pretty much verbatim the same thing he did with them. But before he finishes the murder, who comes in through the door but Tyler with a rifle and asking if the woman's okay. Then it cuts back to Tyler the moment he receives the note from Cassie. It states to meet her at Nora Delvin's house. Talking with Cassie about the probable realization that Don might be the Clovehitch Killer, she shares a kiss with Tyler and then heads to Nora's old abandoned house. Tyler, conflicted, he states that his uncle Rudy is actually the killer based on the information that Don gave him. But Cassie states that the rope fibers match the ones from the murder scene. Tyler is still conflicting and lashes out and saying that knowing all this Clovehitch murder is just a ruse for her to be cool and edgy. But Cassie states that the Clovehitch Killer is actually the person that killed her mother, Crystal Harper, and that she never really ran away. Hearing this, Tyler informs her that her driver's license was in the crawl space, but it was destroyed with the rest of the evidence. Then it cuts back to when Tyler leaves to the leadership camp, but actually is going to Uncle Rudy's home with Cassie to start staking out Don. A montage of Tyler and Cassie looking for clues. They catch him staring at the woman in the supermarket and decide to break into Tyler's house to search for Don's phone, with the mission to place a GPS tracker on his father's phone. There, Tyler hears the music playing and sees glimpses of his father in high heels and wig while he was hiding under the bed. Later cutting to when Don takes a picture of Cassie and Tyler and was actually the one that alerted her to leave and not her actual dad. The scene cuts back in again with Tyler taking a shower, just soaking in the information, and Cassie and Tyler just sit in silence, just waiting for Don to move. Once they see that the GPS is working and notice his movement, they follow Don to the supermarket's lady's house. Cassie decides to check out the scene while Tyler is hiding, but then Cassie comes back from the home and sees that the Clovehitch is tied to the pipe of the home, and Tyler's worst fears are confirmed. Don is going to kill the woman from the supermarket. It cuts to the day Don is inside the supermarket lady's house. Before they head over, they decide to stop at Tyler's house and get the rifle they had in the camping trip. Now, inside the supermarket's lady's house, they overhear Don pulling a chair and the yelling of the supermarket lady's muffled screams. Now we are here when Tyler confronts Don. requesting Don to turn himself in, but Don is telling Tyler that Cassie's manipulating him and that the attack is actually an affair. Cassie is noticing the gun that Don has and reaches for it, but Don quickly knocks her out, requesting that Tyler lowers the weapon as well. So at this point, you can see that that little Ned Flanders switch isn't off. He's really talking really calm. He's saying things like, hey, bud, like, you don't know this situation as well. He is very comfortable, which is like creepy. This is something that Dennis would do as well. He's very comfortable. He has everything under control. Stating to give him the rifle, Tyler basically does what he asks, but then Don points and shoots the rifle at Tyler, but the chamber is empty. Tyler then proceeds to attack Don, but gets overpowered by Don, and Don starts choking Tyler, but Cassie hits him with a lamp on the back of the head, knocking him out. Cassie reaches for the phone to call the police, but Tyler stops him. It then cuts to missing posters of Don all over the suburbs. Cindy is seen in a blue apron, making oatmeal for Susie and Tyler. And at the meantime, Tyler's in the bathroom checking out the bruises that Don basically left him. And you can also see that they have fallen in hard times. But soon, Cindy receives a call stating they found Don's body. Now, at this point, no one knows what really happened to Don. We know that Don is the Clovehitch Killer, but at this point, no one knows what happened to Don. It just cuts to them in the house. Laying on his bed, Cindy walks in saying that the police wanted to talk to Tyler, but Cindy stated no, but informs him that Don's death wasn't accidental. Tyler states that it could be a murder, but Cindy states that Don had problems and it could be probable suicide. Cutting to the church, Billy is leading the memorial for Don and giving Tyler the proper induction for being a leader at the troop. Tyler starts giving a speech and eulogy about his dad, meanwhile cutting in scenes of the night of Don's disappearance. It shows Tyler and Cassie dragging Don to a campsite they made, wearing plastic bags on their shoes and gloves. They also carry a case where a pistol is there and they point it at Don. Don awakens from his unconscious state and stares at the barrel of the gun, and later shows Tyler holding the gun. He then looks at Tyler and looks at the gun and closes his eyes. The movie ends with Tyler ending his speech about his dad, saying that he loves him. And that's pretty much the ending of the Clovehitch Killer. Now with this movie, like I stated, like throughout the majority of this movie, really just depicts the all in all BTK-esque murders that he has committed. I wish it was a little bit more longer, showing more victims, but yeah, with the supermarket lady, I think that was good enough. The only thing I did not like about this movie was the cop-out moment. Like, if my dad was actually a serial killer, I'm taking him to jail. Like, he pretty much got out scot-free based on everything that he did. But all in all the actors brought their A game. They acted so well within this movie, every single one of them. Yeah, the little nitpicks, like with Cassie being a smart ass and like Billy being overbearing, but everything else, everybody did really good. I think my only gripe as well is Tyler, because throughout the scene, I get it, like you don't want to realize that your dad is a serial killer, but Tyler was also unbearable on certain parts, because it'll be like concrete evidence, like yes, Don is the Clovehitch Killer, and then he'll be like no, this isn't true, it could be somebody else. Like the point where Don was saying like Rudy is the actual killer, I think that part would have been like, huh? Like, how is he able to do that? He can't walk. And then also simple math shows like 10 years, 10 bodies, and Rudy has been paralyzed throughout all those 10 years. So it doesn't make any sense. But again, I understand somewhat Tyler doesn't want his father to be a serial killer. But yeah, Dylan McDermott pretty much handled this entire movie. Like, this is his movie. He gave us the corny Ned Flanders-esque flow throughout the entire thing, not switching it off, even at the times where he becomes the Clovehitch Killer. Like, he is corny and sadistic at the same time. Like, he did a really great job on that. Like, he did a really great job portraying that character. It's well written too, and you can tell like the person that wrote it knew his shit. Like he really did his research with BTK. But yeah, my overall experience with this movie is really good. I don't really have a like a rating system, so I guess I'll give this movie, I don't know, an 8 out of 10. I won't say stars, I'll be like an 8 out of 10 Bumble class. But yeah, comment below, please subscribe, like the video, and if you have any thoughts about the movie, please leave whatever comment you like. But yeah, comment below, subscribe, like, share, and again, hit that notification bell and share your thoughts about this movie. And again, like I stated, the BTK video that I did previously will be at the end of this video. And thank you guys again for watching. Have a good one.